ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is video number 38. This video will start with talk number 501, 12th July 1938. A young Masurian asked devotee, puts a question, how did I get this body? Maharshi replied, you speak of I and the body. There is the relationship between the two. You are not there for the body. The question does not occur to the body because it is inert. There is an occasion when you are not aware of the body, namely in deep sleep. The question does not arise then. Nevertheless, you are there in sleep. To whom does the question arise now? Devotee. The ego, Maharshi, yes, the body and the ego rise up together and sink together. There is an occasion when you are not associated with the ego in deep sleep. Now you are associated with the ego of these two states, which is your real state. You are present in sleep and the same you is present now too. Why should the doubt arise now and not then? You are right in saying that it is for the ego. You are not the ego. The ego is intermediate between the self and the body. You are the self. Find out the origin of the ego and see if the doubt persists. Sri Bhagwan added after a few minutes, the answer according to Shastras will be the body is due to karma. The question will be how did karma arise? We must say from a previous body and so on without end. The direct method of attack is not to depend on invisible hypothesis but to ask whose karma is it or whose body. Hence, I answered in this manner. This is more purposeful. 14th August 1938, talk number 502. SJT Rajendra Prasad and SJT Jamanlal Bajaj with others are on a visit to Sri Maharshi. 16th August, SJT JB asked questions. Devotee, how is the mind to be steadily kept right? Maharshi, all living beings are aware of their surroundings and therefore intellect must be surmised in all of them. At the same time, there is a difference between the intellect of man and that of other animals. Because man not only sees the world as it is and acts accordingly, but also seeks fulfillment of desires and is not satisfied with the existing state of affairs. In his attempts to fulfill his desires, he extends his vision far and wide and yet he turns away dissatisfied. He now begins to think and reason. The desire for permanency of happiness and of peace bespeaks such permanency in his own nature. Therefore, he seeks to find and regain his own nature, that is his self, that found always found. Such inward seeking is the path to be gained by man's intellect. The intellect itself realizes after continuous practice that it is enabled by some higher power to function. It cannot itself reach that power, so it ceases to function after a certain stage. When it thus ceases to function, the supreme power is still left there all alone. That is realization, that is the finality, that is the goal. It is thus plain that the purpose of the intellect is to realize its own dependence upon the higher power and its inability to reach the same. So it must annihilate itself before the goal is gained. Devotee. A sloka is quoted which means I do not desire kingdoms etc. Only let me serve thee forever and there lies my higher pleasure. Is that right? Maharshi replies, yes, there is room for kama, desire, so long as there is an object apart from the subject, that is duality. There can be no desire if there is no object. The state of no desire is moksha. There is no duality in sleep and also no desire. Whereas there is duality in the waking state and desire also is there. Because of duality, a desire arises for the acquisition of the object, that is the outgoing mind, which is the basis of duality and of desire. If one knows that bliss is none other than the self, the mind becomes inward turned. If the self is gained, all the desires are fulfilled. That is the apta kamaha atma kamaha akmascha, fulfillment of desire of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that is moksha. Here, JV tried to make himself clear by saying that what he meant by Sadbuddhi was not the same as Buddhi. It means that which holds fast to the good, the right, and the chosen path. He wanted to know how such steadfastness could be gained. Maharshi, what is wanted for gaining the highest goal is loss of individuality. The intellect is coextensive with individuality. Loss of individuality can only be after the disappearance of buddhi, good or bad. The question therefore does not arise. Devotee, but yet one must know the right thing. Choose the right path. Practice this right dharma and hold fast to it. Otherwise, he is lost. Maharshi replies, true strength accrues by keeping in the right direction without swerving from it. Devotee, difficulties are met with. How is one to get the strength necessary to overcome the obstacles which beset one's path? Maharshi, by means of devotion and company of the sages. Devotee, loss of individuality was just before mentioned as a prerequisite to moksha. Now devotion and association with the wise are advised as the methods. Is there not individuality implied in them? For example, in I am Bhakta, I am a Satsangi. Maharshi, the method is pointed out to the seeker. The seeker has certainly not lost his individuality so far. Otherwise, the question would not have arisen. The way is shown to effect the loss of individuality of the seeker. It is thus appropriate. Devotee, is the desire for Swaraj right, Maharshi? Such desire no doubt begins with self-interest. Yet Practical work for the goal gradually widens the outlook so that the individual becomes m- merged in the country. Such merging of the individuality is desirable, and the related karma is niskama, unselfish. Devotee. If Swaraj is gained after a long struggle and terrible sacrifices, is not the person justified in being pleased with the result and elated by it, Maharshi? He must have, in the course of his work, surrendered himself to the higher power whose might must be kept in mind and never lost sight of. How then can he be elated? He should not even care for the result of his actions. Then alone the karma becomes unselfish. Devotee, how can unerring rectitude be ensured for the worker? Mercy, if he has surrendered himself to God or to Guru, the power to which he had surrendered will take him on the right course. The worker need no longer concern himself about the rectitude or otherwise of the course. The doubt will arise only if he fails to obey the master in all details. Devotee, is there not any power on earth which can bestow grace on its devotees so that they may grow strong to work for the country and gain Swaraj? Sri Maharshi remained silent. This, he later said, signified that such was the case. Devotee, is not the tapasya of the ancient Mahatmas of the land available for the benefit of its present day inheritors? Mercy, it is, but the fact must not be overlooked that no one can claim to be the sole beneficiary. The benefits are shared by all alike. After a pause, is it without such saying? Is it without such saving grace that the present awakening has come into being? Here Sri Bhagwan said that before his arrival in Tiruvannamalai in 1896, there was not any clear political thought in India. Only Dada Bhai Nauroji had become an MP. After a short pause, JB said, Sri Rajendra Prasad is such a noble and selfless worker for the country that he has sacrificed a very lucrative career for this work. The country needs him, and yet he is not in good health and is always weak and ailing. Why should there be such cruelty to such a noble son of the country? Rajendra Prasad was our first president, and this JB was Jamna Lal Prasad, an associate of Mahatma Gandhi ji. 17th August 1938, talk number 503. An American gentleman, Mr. James Lowry, has been staying in the ashram for about 2 months. He asked, I am leaving tonight. It gives me pain to tear myself away from this place. But I must go to America. I ask for a message from the master. The master understands me ever even better than I do myself. So I pray for a message to keep me up when I am away from the master. Maharshi, the master is not outside you as you seem to imagine. He is within, is in fact the self. Recognize this truth. Seek within and find him there. Then you will have constant communion with him. The message is always there. It is never silent. It can never forsake you, nor can you ever move away from the master. Your mind is outgoing. Because of that tendency, it sees objects as being outside and the master among them. But the truth is different. The master is the self. Turn the mind within and you will find the objects within. You will also realize that it is the master who is your very self and there is nothing but him. Because you identify yourself with the body, you have accepted objects as being outside you. But are you the body? You are not. You are the self. There are all the objects and the whole universe. Nothing can escape the self. How then can you move away from the master who is your very self? Suppose your body moves from place to place. Does it ever move away from yourself? Similarly, you can never be without the master. Mr. Lorry was struck by the answer, although he was already familiar with the master's ways. He was even visibly moved. He prayed that the grace of the master might abide with him. Sri Bhagwan replied, the master being the self, grace is inseparable from the self. Mr. L saluted Sri Maharshi with the intense fervor, saying that he might be enabled to realize the truth. Maharshi, is there any moment when you have not realized the self? Can you ever be apart from the self? You are always that. Devotee, you are the great master, shedding joy and bliss on the world. Your love is indeed unlimited that you chose to abide in the world in human shape. But I wish to know if one should necessarily realize one's self before being of help to the country and a leader of men. Mercy, realize the self first and the rest will follow. Devotee, America is now the foremost country in industrial matters, mechanical engineering, scientific advance, and other worldly affairs. Will she come up to the same level in spiritual life also? Mercy, certainly she is bound to. Devotee, thank God that it will be so. I am a partner in an engineering firm, but it is not of vital concern to me. I try to bring spiritual ideals into the workaday life of the firm. Mercy, that is good. If you surrender yourself to the higher power, all is well. That power sees your affairs through. Only so long as you think that you are the worker, you are obliged to reap the fruits of your actions. If, on the other hand, you surrender yourself and recognize your individual self as only a tool of the higher power, that power will take over your affairs along with the fruits of actions. You are no longer affected by them and the work goes on unhampered. Whether you recognize the power or not, the scheme of things does not alter. Only there is a change of outlook. Why should you bear your load on the head when you are traveling on a train? It carries you and your load whether the load is on your head or on the floor of the train. You are not lessening the burden of the train by keeping it on your head, but only straining yourself unnecessarily. Similarly, is the sense of doership in the world by the individuals. Devotee, I have been interesting myself in metaphysics for over 20 years, but I have not gained any novel experience as so many others claim to do. I have no powers of clairvoyance, clairaudience, etc. I feel myself locked up in this body and nothing more. Maharshi, it is right. Reality is only one, and that is the self. All the rest are mere phenomena in it, of it, and by it. The seer, the objects, and the sight, all are the self only. Can anyone see or hear leaving the self aside? What difference does it make to see or hear anyone in close proximity or over enormous distance? The organs of sight and hearing are needed in both cases, so also the mind is required. None of them can be dispensed with in either case. There is dependence one way or another. Why then should there be a clamor about clairvoyance or clairaudience? Moreover, what is acquired will also be lost in due course. They can never be permanent. The only permanent thing is reality, and that is the self. You say, I am going, I am speaking, I am working, etc. Hyphenate I am in all of them. Thus, I am, that's the abiding and fundamental reality. This truth was taught by God to Moses. I am that I am. Be still and know that I am God. So I am is God. You know that you are. You cannot deny your existence at any moment of time, for you must be there in order to deny it. This pure existence is understood by stilling your mind. The mind is the outgoing faculty of the individual. If that is turned within, it becomes still in course of time, and that I am alone prevails. I am is the whole truth. Devotee, I appreciate the whole answer. Mercy, who is there to appreciate what? A question about heart. Sri Bhagavan said, leave alone the idea of right and left. They pertain to the body. The heart is the self. Realize it, and then you will see for yourself. Mr. Lorry thanked Sri Bhagavan and saluted him before retiring. 18th August 1938, talk number 504. A visitor asked Sri Bhagavan about the overmind and supermind, the psychic, the divine of Sri Aurobindo's terminology. Maharshi, realize the self or the divine, all these differences will disappear. Talk number 505. Babu Rajendra Prasad said, I have come here with Mahatma Gandhi's permission and I must return to him soon. Can Sri Bhagavan give me any message for him? Maharshi, Adhyatma Shakti is working within him and leading him on. That is enough. What more is necessary? 19th August 1938, talk number 506. Explaining the opening stanza of Sadvidya, Sri Bhagavan said, Sat being is Chit knowledge absolute, also Chit is Sat. What is only one. Otherwise, the knowledge of the world and of one's own being will be impossible. It denotes both being and knowledge. However, both of them are one and the same. On the other hand, be it Sat only and not Chit also, such Sat will only be insentient Jada. In order to know it, another chit will be needed. Such chit being other than Sat cannot be, but it must be, not taking chit to be Sat. Since Sat is Jada, chit also becomes Jada, which is absurd. Again, to know it, another chit is required, which is also absurd. Therefore, Sat and Chit are only one and the same. 22nd August 1938, talk number 507. An Arya Samajist from Bangalore with a companion visited Sri Maharshi. He asked, what is the use of yoga practice? Is it for personal use or universal benefit? Maharshi, yoga means union of two entities. What are they? Enquire. Use or benefit is in relation to some center. What is it? Enquire. Devotee, should there be distinction of caste? Mercy, who is it that sees such distinction? Find it out. Devotee, I find that it is observed in this ashramam. Probably without the approval of Sri Bhagavan, others observe it there. Mercy, who are you that speak of others, etc.? Did you notice others, etc. in your Sushupti? Devotee, I am the individuality here. I may not see others in my sleep, but I see them now. Mercy, no doubt you do, but the one who sees now and the one who did not see in sleep are you only, the same individual. Why should you notice differences now and troubled? Be as you were in sleep. Devotee, that cannot be. I see it now, whereas I do not see in my sleep. That does not alter the existing state of affairs. Mercy, do the objects exist in the absence of the subject? Devotee, their existence is independent of the subject. Mercy, do you see that they exist or do they come and announce their existence to you? Devotee, I know that they exist. Mercy, so it is your knowledge of them only. Their existence is not absolute. Devotee, even if I did not know, they will continue to exist. Maharshi, do you claim their existence in the absence of your knowledge of them? Laughter. Devotee, Brahma is equal to all. Brahman is equal to all. There cannot be any distinction there. Caste distinction is against the highest principle. Mercy, why do you drag in Brahma? He has no grievances. Let him who has grievances pursue the matter. Devotee, you are a Mahatma. You cannot admit caste. But how do the people here enforce such distinctions? Maharshi, did I tell you that I am a Jnani or a Mahatma? You are seeing it yourself, nor did I make a grievance of this caste affair. Devotee, Paramatma is the same in all. Mercy, why do you bring in all these names? They can take care of themselves, they do not require your help. Devotee, Mahatma Gandhi also admits equality. Mercy, Gandhi is not here. Devotee, Arvindo does not approve of caste. Do you approve of them? Mercy, as for Arvindo, you ask him. As for my opinion, how does it matter to you? How will it be of use to you? Have you got any opinion on the matter? That alone will affect you, not the opinion of others. Devotee, I do not approve of the caste system. Mahatma's opinion is valuable as a guidance. I want your blessings in my attempts. Mercy. Mahatma has told you to seek and find yourself. You will not do it but require his blessings. Devotee, I am trying to follow the instructions, but caste distinction is painful, it must go. Mercy, to whom does it cause pain? Devotee, the members of the society. Mercy, it is you who say it. There are countries where there are no such distinction of caste. Are they free from trouble? There are wars, internecine struggle, etc. Why do you not remedy the evils there? Devotee, there are troubles here also. Mercy, differences are always there. There are not only human beings but also animals, plants, etc. The state of affairs cannot be helped. Devotee, we do not mind the animals, etc. at present. Maharshi, why not? If they could speak, they would claim equality with you and dispute your claims no less vigorously than human beings. Devotee, but we cannot help it, it is God's work. Mercy, if that is God's work, then the other part is your work. Is that so? Devotee, it is man made distinction. Mercy, you need not notice these distinctions. There is diversity in the world. A unity runs through the diversity. The self is the same in all. There is no difference in spirit. All the differences are external and superficial. You find out the unity and be happy. The pain of diversity is overcome by the joys of the perception of unity. Moreover, a king may disguise himself as a servant. That makes no difference in the person. Devotee, I do not object to differences, but the claims of superiority are wrong. Mercy, there are differences in the limbs of one's body. When the head touches the foot, the hand is not defiled. When the hand touches the foot, the hand is not defiled. Each limb performs its function. Why do you object to differences? Devotee, the people feel the injustice of caste distinction. It must be rooted out. Mercy, you can individually arrive at the state where such distinctions are not perceived and be happy. How can you hope to reform the world? Even if you try, you cannot succeed. Kavyakantha Ganpati Sastri offered to initiate Harijans with mantras and make Brahmins of them, but the Harijans did not come forward and to accept the offer. That shows they are themselves afflicted by an inferiority complex. Remove that complex first before you try to reform others. Moreover, why do you go to places where such distinctions are observed and cause pain to yourself? Why should you not seek places where they are not observed and be happy there? Gandhiji also tries to bring about equality. He is also up against the barrier of inferiority complex afflicting the lower orders. He cannot enforce his views on others. He observes non-violence, so matters stand as they are. Devotee, we must work to obliterate caste distinctions. Maharshi, then do it. If you have succeeded in the world, then see if the distinctions persist in this place. Devotee, this must be the first place where I want to effect the reform. Maharshi, why do you exert yourself so much to effect reforms? Go to sleep and see if there are differences. There you obliterate differences without any effort. Laughter. 24th August 1938. Talk number 508. An Indian ICS officer was in the hall for a few hours. He asked, Can ahimsa put an end to wars in the world? Sri Bhagwan did not answer, and it was time to go out for the evening walk. The next day, when someone else repeated the question, Sri Bhagwan said that the question contained its answer. It is patent that in a state of perfect ahimsa there can be no war. 26th August 1938, talk number 509. Mr. McLever had an interview with Sri Bhagwan and spoke about Diksha. Sri Bhagwan asked, "What is this Diksha?" After a pause, he continued, "Diksha is of various kinds, by word, by sight, by touch, and so forth." Devotee, Bhagwan's is Mona Diksha, is it not? Maharshi, yes, this is the highest form of Diksha. Devotee, is it applicable to the Vichara Marga only? Maharshi, all the Margas are included in the Vichara Marga. Devotee, yes, but if one wished to take them separately, it would not be applicable, would it? Maharshi, no. Devotee, supposing one feels the need for aids to realization, these are to be regarded as belonging to accessory margas, are they not? Maharshi, yes. Devotee, and for these then other dikshas would be necessary. Maharshi, yes. Devotee, from this another question arises. So long as I am at Bhagwan's feet, I cannot be regarded as a faithful Christian. Sri Bhagwan interrupted, saying that this was the essence of Christianity. Devotee, yes, but not in the eyes of the present representatives of the church. Accordingly, I can no longer look to the side of the church for aid. Have I Bhagwan's leave to look elsewhere? Maharshi, that is left to you. After a pause, Sri Bhagwan spoke to the effect that people who come here are brought by some mysterious power which will look to their needs. The conversation practically ended with this. Talk number 510, 7th September 1938. Mr. T.K.S. Iyer read out a passage from a book which admitted of 5 different divisions of Antahakaranas as follows. Number 1, Ullam. Number 2, mind. Number 3, intellect. Number 4, Chintam. Number 5, ego. Sri Bhagwan said 4 divisions are usual. The 5th item, Ullam, has been brought in to correspond to 5 tattvas. Thus, Ullam consciousness is Akasa, ether, tattva from the cranium to the brows. 2. Manas, thinking faculty is Vayu, air, tattva from the brows to the throat. 3. Buddhi, intellect is Agni, light, tattva from the throat to the heart. 4th, Chitta, memory is Jala, water, tattva from the heart to the navel. 5th, Ahankar, ego is Prithvi, tattva from the navel to the coccyx. Ullam is thus the pure mind or the mind in its pure being, that is, mind divested of all thoughts. It is the ether of mind corresponding to the expanse of mind without being crowded by thoughts. When a person wakes up from sleep, the head is raised and there is the light of awareness. This light was already there in the heart, which is later reflected on the brain and appearance as consciousness. But this is not particularized until Ahankara steps in. In the undifferentiated state, it is cosmic mind or cosmic consciousness. This state lasts usually for a minute interval and passes off unnoticed. It becomes particularized or differentiated by the intrusion of the ego, and the person says, I. This is always associated with an entity, here the body. So the body is identified as I, and all else follow. Because Ulam is only the reflected light, it is said to be the moon. The original light is in the heart, which is said to be the sun. 9th September 1938, talk number 511. Major Chadwick had translated Na Karmana Na Parjaya into English. Sri Bhagwan was explaining its meaning. Brahmaloka may be interpreted subjectively or objectively. The latter meaning requires faith in the Shastras which speak of such lokas, whereas the former meaning is purely of experience and requires no external authority. Brahmaloka would mean Brahma Jnana, knowledge of Brahma or self-realization. Atma Sakshatkara, Prana Prantakala as opposed to Aprantakala. In the latter, the jivas pass into oblivion to take other births. Their oblivion is enveloped in ignorance, avidya. Para is beyond the body. Prantakala is transcendence over the body, etc. Jnana, knowledge. Para pramritat pratikcha. Beyond Prakriti, survey implies that all are qualified for knowledge and liberation, moksha. Yat yaha, yama niyama samitaha sat purushaha, good man, well disciplined. The whole passage implies passing into the real beyond the unreal. Uh, Deathless is not obtained through action or begetting offspring or wealth. Some attain that stage through renunciation. The sages that have conquered the senses attain that Sat which is more supreme than heaven and shining all alone in the heart. The adepts who by renunciation and one-pointedness are pure in heart and have known the certainty of truth by the special knowledge proclaimed by Vedanta get fully released in the Brahmaloka from the causal Maya at the dissolution of the body. That alone which shines as the tiny Akasa, void of sorrows, in the lotus heart, the tiny seat of the spotless Supreme in the inner core of the body is worthy of worship. He alone is the Supreme Lord who is beyond the primal world which is the beginning and end of the Veda and in which merges the creative cause. Mr. T.K.S. Iyer later asked something about Muktaloka, region of liberated souls. Sri Bhagavan said that it means the same as Brahmaloka. Devotee asked if some Suksma Tanu, subtle bodies such as Parnava Tanu or Suddha Tanu, Tanu means body, Shuddha means pure, was required to gain such loka. Maharshi, Parnava means real japa. It is, however, interpreted to be AUM, Nada and Bindu. Of these, the first three are interpreted as Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna and Virat. Hiranyagarbha, Iswara, Nada and Bindu correspond to Prana and Manas, mind. The Mandukya Upanishad speaks of the three mantras and Turiya mantra. The final meaning is that it represents the real state. To a further question, Bhagavan answered, there are said to be Panchpada Mahavakyani, Mahavakyas with 5 words. For example, Tattvamasi, Ati Nijam, you are that is the great truth. The first 3 words have their Lakshya Artha, significance, all of which signify only the one truth. So many efforts and so much disciplines are said to be necessary for the eradicating the non-existing avidya. So I end this video here. Next video number 39 will start with talk number 512, 11th September 1938. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you my dear friends. Namaskar.